Chelsea versus Liverpool, Enzo Maresca versus Arne Slot. This match showed that there's no clear favorite in the Premier League this season. So let's go and break down in detail what happened in the game. We'll start with Liverpool's pressing. Liverpool didn't press as aggressively as usual, but they still set up a high block. During Chelsea's build-up, however, Chelsea were cutting off the main options. Two players in the holding midfield area were always under individual pressure. Isak directed that pressure out to the flank. But all of this was undone by Sanchez's pass to left-back Cucurella. Sanchez basically bypassed Salah, who then didn't sprint toward Cucurella. The Liverpool defender didn't push up high, didn't play aggressively, and didn't meet Cucurella. So that sort of progression from defense into attack happened. If Sanchez's passing had been better, specifically so that Cucurella would receive the ball on his foot and into space rather than onto his shoulder or head, then yes, that work could have been clearly better. If the quality of the pass from the goalkeeper had been above standard. But even so, it still produced chances. Overall, Liverpool's right flank dipped quite a lot today. That's the flank where Salah and Connor Bradley were operating. Here we see a pass between the lines to João Pedro, who is being covered by Konate, who plays proactively. Look at this moment between the Liverpool player and the Chelsea player. The Chelsea player is already charged and ready to run in behind. Look even at their body positions. Starting from the same spot, we end up with almost 4 meters between them. Garnacho has a chance to attack in behind if the pass had been played there. The pass is played in behind, but it wasn't accurate. The goalkeeper is first to the ball, and look at his actions. He had plenty of options in the center of the pitch to play a pass, but he does something useless and gives the ball out for a throw-in. The more I watch football, the more important it becomes that a goalkeeper plays confidently with his feet, and right now there isn't enough of that in the football world. The problem on the left flank was also that Salah wasn't cutting off any passing lanes. He allowed passes between the lines, and he allowed passes out to Cucurella on the flank. Salah's positioning didn't block anything. He was just there. We see, first of all, Garnacho receives the ball between the lines, turns and drags Connor Bradley with him, and Cucurella calmly receives the ball on the flank. Again, if the pass had been played in tempo into free space, this could have been a much more dangerous attack. The attacking patterns, the Chelsea patterns that could have ripped Liverpool apart today, are obvious. Liverpool defended in a 4-2-3-1 formation. Chelsea routed as many attacks as possible through the left. Again, a pass goes through that central corridor. We see another 2 versus 1 on the flank against Connor Bradley. And he's not a nailed-on starter in Liverpool's 11. In the middle block, Liverpool's players were fairly passive. They gave Chelsea quite a lot of time and space. And this is only the 6th minute. Liverpool looks somewhat inert. Here's an absolutely simple 2-pass combination to find Cucurella on the flank. Szoboszlai runs alongside the player who will receive the ball, but doesn't get close enough to him. It's easy. At this top level, it's done very simply. Those passes get played. And look, the player who made the pass immediately runs into that zone, trying to create a line for a penetrating pass in behind. But the pass doesn't come. There were so many moments where Cucurella was the key player, where Chelsea played to him and he received the ball free on the flank. Chelsea had a lot of those moments. Again, nobody was cutting off the passing lane into the center. Garnacho could also have taken a touch and played to Cucurella. All of these are opportunities for a potential attack. And again, Cucurella had an absolutely free flank. It just looked like Liverpool were getting destroyed today. Another moment, Cucurella, starting from a fairly low left-back position, senses a pass between the lines to João Pedro is coming and is already sprinting forward. If João Pedro had made a more optimal decision, he could have played the ball into Cucurella's feet as he ran into space, or in a 2 versus 1 on the flank, simply overwhelm Connor Bradley. On Liverpool's defense, today it was a 4-2-3-1, where the center backs were fully responsible for the center. They didn't shift out into the half spaces. They operated strictly centrally. 2 big towers who had to win every aerial ball and leave no space in their box. The 2 half spaces were covered by the 2 holding midfielders, Gravenberch and McAllister, with McAllister acting as the holding midfielder in this game. Liverpool's players were playing individually against Chelsea's two central midfielders, but there were nuances. Let's look at the moment of the goal. Liverpool defend in their 4-2-3-1 and play man-to-man against the central players. First of all, there's absolutely no pressure on the player with the ball. None at all. Because there's zero pressure, Chelsea are able to play much more freely in possession. As a result, Chelsea's holding midfielder moves into the center, creating an overload there. Liverpool's two holding midfielders were marking Chelsea's two central players man-to-man, and suddenly, out of nowhere, a third player appears. In this situation, the passing lane to Gusto isn't blocked at all, neither by Isak, nor by Szoboszlai, nor by anyone else. Gakpo is positioned quite wide and doesn't cover the central area. Another point, McAllister is already losing about 3 or 4 meters in this moment. Just look at Liverpool's nominal holding midfielder Gravenberch, who is tight to Enzo Fernandez, and then look at the distance between McAllister and Malo Gusto. It's completely different. That's why Gusto is able to receive the ball here and instantly play it one touch into Caicedo, who is totally free in this situation. Caicedo read the episode perfectly, understood that he could overload the central area, and found himself a pocket of space. And then, what followed was simply phenomenal execution. An incredible strike. Absolutely no chance for the goalkeeper. Just a rocket, a bomb, a missile of a shot. Earlier I mentioned that Liverpool's right flank, with Salah and Bradley, was struggling, but the left back didn't stand out in a positive way either. That's young Kerkez, recently signed from Bournemouth. Look again, zero pressure on the player with the ball. None. Why? A high defensive line, but no pressure on the ball carrier. That's basically an invitation to please score against us. Look at how deep Kerkez's position is, how afraid he is of the run-in behind. He completely breaks the offside line. He drops it by more than 5 meters because he's scared of the winger's run behind him. And despite having a full view of the pitch, seeing every player in his defensive line, he still drops back. These kinds of hesitant decisions from fullbacks open up opportunities for runs in behind. João Pedro's body position already shows he's ready. He's calling for the through ball. Ready to run in behind, score, and thank Kerkez and the whole Liverpool defense for the gift. The pass doesn't come, but you can see João Pedro even signaling with his hand. He's already visualizing the ball hitting the net. If we talk about Chelsea's pressing in this match when Liverpool tried to build from the back, their patterns were actually quite similar to Liverpool. Fully man-oriented pressing in midfield. Garnacho, from the flank, guided and directed the press. He used his cover shadow to block the pass to the full back, but if that pass still went through, Cucurella was always ready to step up and close that player down. Something Liverpool's defenders didn't do. Liverpool's fullbacks didn't push up high enough to cut out those passes, which is why Chelsea could consistently progress through Cucurella throughout the match. In the key pressing structure, Garnacho cuts off 2 options with his cover shadow, the center back and the fullback. The holding midfielders are tightly man-marked. João Pedro's cover shadow blocks Van Dijk. Cucurella, in a half position, is ready to shift centrally or press up the flank if the long ball is played toward Connor Bradley. So the only real option for Liverpool's goalkeeper was a long clearance, and that's what often happened. Here's another example. In Liverpool's build-up, we again see Cucurella pushing high to apply pressure on the opponent's half. As before, Chelsea's 2 central midfielders close off options in the middle. Garnacho blocks the passing lane to the center back. João Pedro initiates the press, covering Van Dijk, and Cucurella cuts off the fullback. Again, the only option left, a long pass forward. Even in a medium block, Chelsea played in a very organized way. It was man-oriented pressing in midfield. 3 Chelsea midfielders matched against Liverpool's 3 central players, denying any numerical superiority. Liverpool needed to make adjustments, maybe drop an extra player into midfield, add a rotation, but that never happened throughout the match. Even in calmer moments, without much pressure on the goalkeeper, Liverpool's keeper had no clear passing options. Again forced to play a long ball into a duel. Now, if we talk about the goal, the key detail is Malo Gusto's positioning. Chelsea's shape looks fine. Gusto checks over his shoulder, reads the trajectory, sees Gakpo, and the cross comes in from the flank. Chelsea's defensive positions seem decent. The cross goes to the near post. Isak touches it, though I'm not even sure it was meant as a pass. It looked more like he tried to control and shoot, but it somehow turned into a perfect assist. And Gusto, who was supposed to be marking Gakpo, loses him. You can see he even extends his arm, trying to keep contact, but Gakpo slips ahead of him and scores. To me, that's mostly an individual error from Gusto in the finishing zones. Now let's take a look at how Chelsea scored the winning goal. First of all, one thing I really dislike in football, it's Liverpool's super passive defending, and it showed again at the very end of the match. I just can't understand how you can stand in a 2 versus 1 situation on the edge of your box and not even try to win the ball back or force the opponent outside. 2 Liverpool players are just staring at Enzo Fernandez. They're literally just watching, not even blocking the passing lane, and the ball goes right between the 2 Liverpool mannequins. It finds Cucurella. Enzo had been standing in that pocket of space for around 3 or 4 seconds. That's shocking. Cucurella receives it and instantly fires a ball across to the far post, where Estevao arrives to finish it off. You could also point out that Robertson didn't defend well in that situation. His positioning was too narrow. He needed to stay tighter to Chelsea's winger, maybe drop slightly deeper to hold the offside line and keep visual contact with Estevao. Another interesting thing from this match, a set-piece routine from Chelsea. Look at how Liverpool defended it. 4 players marking zonally inside the box and 3 players marking man-to-man. Even then, they didn't pick up all of Chelsea's targets. You can see one completely free Chelsea player right on the penalty spot. Chelsea, meanwhile, set up for a short corner. This forced 2 Liverpool players to step out to block it. Another Liverpool player shifted into the half space to cover. He was supposed to protect the second ball zone, but moved wider because Chelsea pulled a lot of numbers toward the flank. And what happened next was basically a training ground exercise for Chelsea. A 5 versus 3 rondo on the wing. Guess what? Chelsea easily played their way through Liverpool's 3 defenders. Any top-level Premier League team could do that. And because of that overload, the central zone was completely open. Cucurella received the ball and rolled it back to Garnacho at the top of the box, totally unmarked. His shot cruelly hit the post. It would have been brilliant if he'd scored, and it would have once again highlighted how Manchester United managed to ruin top talents like him. Overall, this Premier League season looks absolutely fascinating. Just look at the table. Not even all the 7th-round matches have been played, and already Arsenal are top. Wow, the top of the table is insanely tight. You've got Crystal Palace, Bournemouth, Sunderland up in the top 7. Unreal. It feels like we're heading toward a title race that will go right down to the final match day. There's no clear favorite. Every team has flaws, and that's what makes this Premier League season so exciting. Make sure to like this video and share your thoughts in the comments. Who do you think has the best chance to win the Premier League this unpredictable season? With the international break coming up, we'll do a poll to decide which team, coach, or player we should analyze next, since there aren't many top-tier international fixtures ahead. And don't forget to subscribe for more detailed football analysis and tactical breakdowns.